Thank you for joining us. Certainly it's a beautiful thing to be surrounded by such a powerful coalition of black women, justice seekers, table shakers, community builders, particularly at this critical inflection point for our nation. Each one of us standing before you today represents generations of black women who came before us, who gave us life, spoke life into us, encouraged us, sacrificed for us, and we are here today to continue sounding the alarm about a crisis that is both economic and moral. The shameful push out of black women from the workforce and the dangerous consequences for this nation, for black women, for black families, and for black futures. The numbers don't lie, and the numbers are damning. The latest job report shows that black women's unemployment rate has jumped to 6.7%, when overall unemployment is at 4.3%. Since February, nearly 320,000 black women have left the workforce. This is not a coincidence. This is the direct result of Donald Trump's mass federal firing frenzy and his relentless racist attacks on diversity, equity, and inclusion. Let's be clear. Black women are not just workers or numbers on a spreadsheet. We are the backbones of our families, our communities, and this country. Nearly 70% of black women are the primary breadwinners in their households, providing for children, parents, and elders. When we lose work, it reverberates far beyond our own families. Economists estimate, in fact, that just 2% of black women being fired this year has cost our economy $37 billion in GDP spending. This is not just a crisis for black women. This is a glaring red flag for the entire economy. It is a bellwether of what is to come if we continue down this path. And it is damning evidence of Donald Trump's fiscally irresponsible and chaotic economic policies. His mass firings have gutted agencies where black women make up much of the workforce. USAID, doing the work of combating disease, malnutrition, hunger. The Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, seeking justice for perhaps an elder in your family who's been a victim of a predatory product. Housing and urban development, enforcing fair housing laws, administering affordable housing grants. Health and Human Services, doing that essential work. Department of Education, processing your FAFSA applications. So the gutting of these agencies and the push out of black women from this workforce, and that we represented 12% of the federal workforce, is undermining the very institutions that deliver essential services to people in need. And now, Trump is attempting an unlawful power grab by trying to fire Federal Reserve Governor Lisa Cook, the first black woman to ever sit on the Federal Reserve Board. Her very presence is a reminder of the brilliance and expertise that black women bring to shaping our economy, from the federal government to the C-suite and everywhere in between. His attacks on Governor Cook are racist, sexist, and unconstitutional, inconsistent. He is obsessed with black women. And I'm glad the courts have stepped in to block this baseless firing. They must uphold the law, and the independence of the Fed must be protected. Earlier this month, I wrote to Chairman Powell calling on the Federal Reserve to do its job and take immediate action to uphold its statutory mandate of maximum employment for all. And that includes addressing the skyrocketing unemployment rate among black women. And we are not asking, we are demanding. We demand that the Federal Reserve uphold its statutory mandate of maximum employment. We demand that the Trump administration stop its precise, coordinated attacks on black women workers. And we demand that Donald Trump end his reckless, racist, and irresponsible economic policies that are hurting all of us. But really, our demand is simple. For black women, for black families, for black futures, Chairman Powell, do your job. This man ran on economics, Donald Trump, so they say. Well, do right by hard-working American families then. Trump wants to keep his knee on the neck of our economy and rob black families of our dignity, our livelihood, and our futures, but not on our watch. I'll close with this. Black women have always been essential to the American economy, from Sadie Alexander, the first black woman to earn a PhD in economics, to Coretta Scott King's fight for a federal job guarantee, to Lisa Cook, shaping monetary policy today. We have truly been the canary in the coal mine on this issue and so many others, because when black women are working, when black women are innovating, when black women are thriving, our entire economy and country benefit. So we will not be silent, and we will certainly not be sidelined, and we will not allow the occupant of the White House's anti-black, anti-woman agenda to erase us from the paid workforce. Black women, black families, black futures, our nation depends on it. And with that, I will hear from my movement sister, the architect of so much good in the fight for justice and a brilliant strategist in her own right, Tamika Mallory of Until Freedom.
Good morning, and thank you so much, Congresswoman Pressley. My name is Tamika D. Mallory, and I am co-founder of Until Freedom, a social justice organization. When black women are unsafe, the entire community is unsafe. When black women are left behind, the whole nation falls behind. The Congresswoman laid out the data that this crisis is causing our communities. But these are not just random statistics. The data supports a direct attack on black families, our stability, and our future. We know it is intentional, and we are very clear about who is behind the intent. I came today with a very simple message. What people do not understand is that what is meant for evil against us will not only harm our communities, it will destroy America itself. Because when black women lose work, our children lose resources, our communities lose anchors, and America loses progress. We said from the beginning that the assault on diversity, equity, and inclusion was never neutral. It was always going to land on the backs of black women. No matter how much data is provided, our value is being disrespected. No matter how much they try to say that we are not needed or that we are not intelligent, our excellence is proven, and there is so much evidence to back that up. The outcome of the attacks on diversity, equity, and inclusion was predictable. Job loss, wages cut, and doors closed. And this is bigger than the workplace. We are watching the intentional dismantling of black families. Black women are fighting for economic survival, and black men are also fighting for stability and opportunities. Together, we are under siege, and yet we know only together we will rise. This is why Congresswoman Pressley's clarity and courage matters so much in this moment. We 100% support her call for the Federal Reserve Chair to investigate and to act immediately. She is standing firm while so many others are silent on this issue. Today, we are sounding the alarm for all hands on deck. We will not be silent, because every time you try to push us down, you push down your own future. Every time you try to erase us, you erase the very progress that has kept this country alive. What you mean for evil against black folks will not only fail, it will boomerang to destroy the foundation of this country. America should take heed, because black women have been warning you. that racism has always been the cancer that kills the whole body if he or she does not get the treatment it needs. Thank you. We will now hear from our strategist and organizer extraordinaire, Brittany Hacknett Cunningham.
Thank you so much to our sisters for gathering here today, and to Congresswoman Pressley for sounding the alarm. To quote our sister Tamika Mallory's mission critical book, we are indeed in a state of emergency. Black women are in a state of emergency. With upwards of 60% of black women being sole or primary providers, we are in a state of emergency. And when we are in a state of emergency, so are black children, black families, black futures. So are the nonprofit organizations to whom we charitably give. So are the churches that we uphold with our tithes and offerings. So are the local businesses that are the backbone of the American economy that we keep running through our patronage. And with nearly $1.7 trillion in consumer power, black women are essential to powering the economy across the board. When black women don't work, this country doesn't work. We are in a state of emergency, and when black women are in a state of emergency, so are you. Proportionally, black women have the most degrees, and yet we have taken this talent not simply to serve ourselves, but to serve this broader nation. We've taken this talent to private industry and driven record profits. We've taken this talent to government work and powered efficiency in public service. With a tax on federal workers, diversity, equity, and inclusiveness, not only will black women suffer, the entire country will. Let's be clear, the entirety of the Democratic project has been built on the backs of black women. And now, this country threatens to leave its most essential architects left out in the cold, sick, hungry, and without care. A point sharpened, of course, by the looming potential government shutdown. So we're thankful once again to Congresswoman Pressley, not just for assembling us today, but for setting a deadline for a plan. Not concepts of a plan, but a plan, a real plan to ensure maximum employment. The Fed must meet this moment and fulfill their mandated obligation for that maximum employment. Next Tuesday, September 30th, while Congress wrestles with a potential shutdown, the people will be awaiting Chair Powell's plan to ensure black women are no longer shut out. Thank you so much. And now we will hear from a leader extraordinaire in her own right, who's been doing this for 3 decades and sounding the alarm on the needs, the rights, and the hopes of black women, Melanie L. Campbell.
Say it with me. Black women.
Black women.
Black families.
Black families.
Black futures.
Black futures.
Thank you, Congresswoman Pressley, for your leadership, your sisterhood,
Yes.
right? And being the leader that you are. It has been mentioned that over 319,000 black women have lost their jobs. Their ability to financially support their families and communities this year. And one thing about this number that troubles us is the truth of the matter is, had this been 300,000 white women who had lost their jobs at a higher rate than anybody else, it would be on the news 24/7. What is Chairman Powell going to do about this problem? 69% of black women, as you've heard, are the primary breadwinners in our household. We are the foundation supporting not just nuclear families, but extended families across generations. When we are pushed out of the workforce through mass layoffs and systemic attacks on diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility programs, the ripple effects devastate us all. Black women's unemployment has spiked to almost 7%, while the national average hits at 4.3%. And these aren't just numbers, these are lives.
That's right.
The deliberate dismantling of our federal agencies disproportionately impacts black women as well. The numbers tell a stark story. We comprise 12% of the federal workforce, but nearly double our share in the overall labor market. This administration's mass firing frenzy has targeted these agencies where we serve, like USAID, where children are dying as we're sitting here today all across this world because we stepped away from what this country is supposed to be standing for. The least of these God's children, we're allowing them to die on our watch. The Department of Education, public education, that's supposed to be for all of our children, somehow that's dispendable. These are deliberate attacks on the people who deliver critical services to the most vulnerable. These layoffs impact our country's economic stability. At this moment, we need justice.
That's right.
We need folks to realize that at the end of the day, there's nothing more important than taking care of our families. Nothing more important in this United States of America that we find a way to have moral courage in this moment. There's not a disconnect to what's happening with this budget. There's not a disconnect what has been happening all across this country. This administration is trying to dismantle every element of civil society to put something else in the place and have a second-class citizenship. Black women will not be second-class citizens to this nation that we helped build.
That's right.
So there's always another election. We watch it. We know how to use our vote. We know how to use our money. We know how to take care of ourselves. The 300,000 women, we're going to take care of them. We're going to do what we need to do. We pay our taxes. We want our money to go back into our own communities. We built this country. We're not going nowhere. We're going to stand strong and fight. So I'm going to close out and call on the Bishop Leah Daughtry, founder of Power Rising and the Black Women's Leadership Collective. She is a faith leader extraordinaire that we all call on so much for spiritual guidance in this moment. Bishop.
Very appropriate that it's raining, because it is certainly raining for the black women of this country.
Good morning. My name is Leah Daughtry. I am the presiding prelate of the House of the Lord Churches and the co-convener of the Black Women's Leadership Collective, an organizing hub of national black women's organizations. We thank you for being here, for Congresswoman Pressley and her leadership and her courage and bringing us together on this important issue. We know that black women, from the foundation of this nation, have been the backbone of this nation's economy. We are the fastest growing group of entrepreneurs in America. We drive trillions in consumer spending. And when black women thrive, families and communities thrive. But as we've heard in just the last 6 months, more than 300 black women have lost their jobs. They have been sidelined from this economy. And just yesterday, OMB issued new guidance that would push even more women out of this economy and the loss of permanent jobs. That's not only devastating for our households, it's devastating for America's bottom line, because those paychecks represent billions of dollars, trillions of dollars in lost wages and spending in the economy. Of course, that means unpaid rent and unpaid tuition, unpaid childcare, unpaid transportation, and loss of income for small businesses in our community. But it's bigger than that. Let us not think that the impact of these economic losses are constrained just to our own communities. It is much larger than that. That also means that the technology industry suffers when phones can't be bought, that car industry suffers when cars can't be purchased, that colleges and universities suffer when tuition can't be paid, that grocery store chains suffer when you can't go to the store to buy groceries. This is not just about what happens in the neighborhoods of black women. It is about what happens in the nation's economy. When black women are pushed out of the workforce, the entire economy contracts. So this rosy picture that our president paints of how well the economy is doing and will do under these nonsensical policies that he has all goes to pot when you recognize that trillions of dollars are going to go unspent because people have been forced out of the workforce. This is not simply a woman's issue or a black woman's issue. It is a national economic emergency. This is a national emergency. America cannot afford to sideline the very women who have always sustained its growth.
That's right.
And it's not just reprehensible. It's not just nonsensical. It is also immoral. To push an entire community out of the way of them taking care of themselves, caring for their children, you are essentially saying, we devalue you. We do not see your worth. We have cut you out of the everydayness of the American society because we value you less. We deem you less worthy of a job. We deem you less worthy of taking care of your family. We deem your children less worthy. And that makes it immoral in this American experiment. And so today we call on Chairman Powell to follow the lead of Congresswoman Pressley to do his job and use all of his resources to ensure that black women are working at the level that they should be working, that is dictated by their education and experience. We're not trying to have minimum wage jobs when we had SES jobs in the government where we were making six figures. I'm not flipping burgers at Wendy's. Say amen, somebody. Amen. We are here to fight for the women who have been locked out, left out, and left behind. America cannot survive without us. America cannot thrive without us. So get us back to work. And we are now going to my sister, Reverend Dr. Breonna K. Parker, founder of Black Millennial Cafe.
Thank you so much to Congresswoman Pressley and my sisters who stand with us today. Picture it, the United States of America, 2025. Black women are losing their jobs at alarming rates. Soaring unemployment among black women is not a footnote, it's an economic report. It's not just a lower third, it's a catastrophic moral failure at the highest levels of the American system. In our research, nearly 3/4 of active participants in the black church were women. When unemployment rises for black women, it isn't an abstract statistic. It's the lived experience of the majority of active participants in our churches. More requests for food pantries, rental assistance, utility support, and direct benevolence will come to the organization that does and has carried this country morally and socially. Since the Bible has been used in excess in the last 2 weeks to both condemn and congratulate every piece of legislation and talking point, let's talk about where the real damnation lies. The crisis of black women's persistent unemployment is a biblical sin of omission, a failure to act against a clear systemic injustice. The same text reference to support decisions also talks about justice, not just morality and not just honesty, but equity. The loudest condemnation wasn't for having too much, but for grinding the faces of the poor. Right now, that high, persistent unemployment rate for black women is the modern version of that grinding. It is the systemic weight placed on the shoulders of the very people who are disproportionately the breadwinners, the caretakers, and the most reliable labor in our communities. To be locked out of opportunity is a direct assault on the economic security of the children, the elderly, the students they support. It'll impact the patients they care for, the companies they establish, run, and save from the brinks of closure. The failure here is not merely economic. It is a moral choice. to ignore the suffering among those we serve. We cannot choose to run an unjust system. So when we look at these climbing numbers, don't just see a bad data point. See judgment. See evidence of failure to uphold the most basic requirement of a moral society, ensuring justice for its laborer. This is not a black thing. It's not a woman thing. It's an American thing that begins with black women.
That's right.
We've looked at the numbers. We've run the reports. If they come for us in Q1 of 2025, they will catch up to you by 2026. Destroying black families, black women, and black futures is a debt that this country can never truly pay off.
All right, any questions?
Congresswoman, we're on the verge of a government shutdown, and you talked about the number of African Americans that are in the federal government. What could this shutdown do for the African American community?
Well, a Republican manufactured shutdown would only compound and exacerbate the harm that they have already legislated. So it would be devastating and compound that hurt. And again, the fact that these are actions that are being taken under the guise of a more efficient government. I don't know. I don't define efficiency by making people hungrier, poorer, sicker, or less safe. But every action under this Republican majority has taken us exactly there. So in a word, it would be devastating.
Representative Philip Lamb from the Medill News Service. I'm curious, are you afraid that the recent turmoil at the Bureau of Labor Statistics, including the firing and recent calls to adjust the frequency of job reports and inflation reports, that could potentially vary or otherwise undermine the important information that's being released today about around 300,000 black women exiting the labor force?
Well, right. He fired the commissioner of the Bureau of Labor Statistics because he didn't like the statistics and the story that they were telling. Because those statistics only further gave visibility into his failure and not delivering on his promise to lower costs for the American people. So I don't put anything past Donald Trump in wanting to obscure data. But what I would say is we're just calling on the Fed to do their job. And if anything, it could be worse than what we're being told.
Absolutely.
But we need the data. That which gets measured gets done. So we need that data for transparency, for accountability. And so we're calling on Chairman Powell by September 30th to analyze the data and to come up with a meaningful plan of action. Again, they have a statutory mandate of maximum employment for everyone. But in this moment, we're asking them to address the 5-alarm fire and crisis that is underway for black women, black families, and black futures.
Yes. The federal government announced it was hiring back some of the people who were laid off. Is that going to impact black women's unemployment at the federal level?
Well, you know, we've been, for any job that's reinstated, you know, I'm grateful for, because again, this is about more than people's labor. This is about their livelihood. And I should say for every, whether it was a probationary worker or reduction of force or someone that was a victim of a mass unlawful firing or someone who left because they felt pushed out because the environment felt so hostile. I have been so struck by the fact that their worry and concern was not of the disruption of their lives and how they would provide for their family. Their immediate concern was of the unfinished work, the work that would no longer happen because they were not in those positions. So for every federal worker, I know, given the pride they take in their job, that they are glad to be back in it. But when you lose your job, the domino effect that occurs, it takes so long to recover and to come back. And might I also add, black women are the most educated and the most debt burdened, which is why I fought so hard for student debt cancellation. And we were making great strides there. You have black women that are paying a mortgage and student loans before they even have a mortgage. And we made great strides there, and now all that work has been undone. And this is also exacerbating, I was talking to Melanie Campbell, the healthcare crisis. Here you have with this big ugly bill that is taking healthcare from 15 million people. And so for the 320,000 black women that have been pushed out of the public and private sector, they also lost their healthcare. And they are being sent into a country that is working rapidly to continue to cut healthcare. So again, we find ourselves in a situation where people will be hungrier, poorer, sicker, and less safe. The cruelty is the point. Yes?
President Pressley, I'm sorry I came late after you already answered this question, but Russ Vought is threatening mass firings if there's a shutdown. Does this make it sort of too risky to engage in this shutdown battle right now, given the impact that will happen on black women and black families if there are mass firings from the federal government?
Again, a partisan spending bill only stands to cause more harm. We need to be focused on lowering costs for the American people right now. This bill will not do that. Insurance premiums are going to go through the roof. Look, I represent a district where in a 3-mile radius life expectancy drops by 30 years. So I'm already dealing with a crisis of people that are uninsured or underinsured. We're already dealing with disparate health outcomes. And the things that have made a difference in that are community health centers, access to quality care. All that is being undermined and degraded. So we need a bipartisan spending bill that is focused on lowering costs. And what is before us, or what has been before us, has not been that. But I will say, appealing, I'm not even saying I'm appealing to my Republican colleagues. I'm appealing to people of conscience to do the job they were sent here to do and to make things easier, not harder. And there's still time to be people of conscience and to do the right thing and to come to the table. Yes.
As a result of the Layoffs service, Congresswoman, what do you think of the recent firing of Karen from the Washington Post?
Well, I'm so glad you asked about that, because
Yeah,
sometimes,
media
the media is not telling the whole story about, who have been casualties of this attack on free speech. I think it's, sadly, again, there has been such a targeting. To be a black woman is to just walk in this dichotomy of being hyper visible, where you are surveyed, targeted, criminalized, while also hyper invisible, because our contributions are ignored and denied, if not relegated to a footnote, and our pain delegitimized. And that's the dichotomy that we're always walking with. So Karen Attiah is just one more black woman that is being targeted by this hostile administration that is anti-blackness on steroids. Unfortunately, there is a long line of black women who have been casualties in these targeted attacks. But yes, it's another attack on free speech. Look, this is a fascist, and a fascist wants a citizenry that is ignorant and uninformed.
That's right.
They want propaganda. They want a citizenry where people are indifferent to the suffering of their neighbors. And they want a citizenry that is inactive. And I would argue that her good reporting was antithetical to all of that. So we stand with her. Anyone else like to say anything about Karen or anything? Okay. Yes.
Last question, please.
Congresswoman, I was wondering if you could react to reports that James Comey might be indicted today, that the Justice Department may indict him.
Well, again, we find ourselves in a constant perpetuation of a culture under the current occupant, of a politics of grievance and retribution. And so this is one other person who was in the crosshairs of that. It's incredibly ironic. This administration is it's cruel, it's chaotic, it's callous, and it most certainly is corrupt. So, unfortunately, it is a consistent targeting and another act of political retribution and grievance. I think. Oh, one more.
We'll wrap from here. Oh, one more.
We're wrapping or one more?
One more. Okay. I had asked. You had said that the attack on healthcare and how it affected the African American community. Another attack that Republicans are doing is on abortion care. and talk to us a little bit about how they want to put the Hyde Amendment on the ACA, the Affordable Care Act, Obamacare, as the leader of the Reproductive Caucus. Talk to us a little bit about that and how it's going to affect the African American community as well.
Well, it already is. And again, I want to say for women who have been leaders in the reproductive justice space, even when Roe was the law of the land, because of the Hyde Amendment and other barriers to access, women were being denied life-saving, essential health care. So it's important to note that. We've been the canaries in the coal mine in that as well. So the Black maternal morbidity crisis continues to grow. No one should be denied health care because of their zip code, because of their immigration status, or how they pay their insurance. And the Hyde Amendment is, again, it is racist and has already resulted in a denial of critical, essential care. And again, this is about reproductive freedom. It's ironic that the opposition, claims that they're the party of freedom when their agenda is anti-freedom. It is seeks to control your autonomy over your body, seeks to control the books that you read. It is anti-freedom. It's anti-science. It's anti-data. It's anti-woman. It's anti-immigrant. It is anti-black. But as a co-chair of the Reproductive Freedom Caucus, I'll continue to fight this fight because healthcare is a human right. And this is about access to birth control. This is about access to IVF. This is the acknowledgement. If you have an ectopic pregnancy, your treatment is abortion care. That is what it is. So this is healthcare, life-saving healthcare. So we'll continue to fight that fight. And actually later today, I'll be doing a panel on that very issue. So if you want to learn more about that, talk to my chief of staff. And we would love to see you there. Thank you.